Welcome to Conversate, our podcast where we engage in conversation. And in this episode, I, Pastor Kevin, am sitting down with Amanda Kilpela. Amanda has been a part of our congregation for some time now and is involved in different areas of praise. But that pattern of praise for her didn't start here, but has been a much longer part of her life story. And so in this conversation, she and I are going to talk about praise, our own experience with it, the different places in which we've praised or have experienced praise, and why it's significant and meaningful to us to praise. As always, we hope you hear something in this conversation that inspires you to go and start another conversation of your own. We hope you enjoy it. Hello.
Hello.
Who are you? No, I'm just kidding. That was a little joke for those who are listening. If you're watching, you're like, Kevin, you should know who that is. They're sitting on a couch with you, and you seem to know them right before you clinked your cup. So this is my awkward and long-winded way of inviting you to share with us. Who are you?
I'm Amanda Kilpela. I'm a mom to 3 kids. I work as a speech therapist in the schools, and I like to mountain bike and ski and swim, and I go to church at St. Peter and Paul.
That was such a great introduction, Amanda.
Okay.
And sharing of who you are and your wider family. I'm so bad at introductions.
I'm a jazz flute player as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Like actual
I
jazz
was
flute?
part of a jazz combo in college
Okay.
called the Homegrown Tomatoes. We had 2 guitarists, a drummer, a piano player, and then I played the flute.
No kidding. And would you perform at like local clubs around town?
We performed at our college
Close
for
enough.
jazz night.
Was it in the lounge of your college though?
No, just
Was there smoke permeating the room?
It was really, it was very academic, but it was, we would let it rip. It was fun.
Well, it still sounds cool.
Yeah.
Where, if you don't mind me asking, where'd you go to college?
I did my first 2 years at the University of Minnesota Morris on the Prairie.
Okay.
It's a small public liberal arts college with a great jazz program.
Nice. Did you go there for jazz?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
It's a big part of your experience.
Yeah. They had, well, maybe because my band director would bring us to Jazz Fest in high school out there. So I was in jazz band in high school too. And so I guess that did, I guess I knew about Morris because of the jazz maybe. And I had, there was 2 girls older than me in my church who went. So I was like, well, if it was good enough for Melissa and Katie, then
It's good enough for Amanda.
they paved the way. But then I was in love with a Youper boy at Tech, Samuel. And so
Your now husband.
Yes.
Yep.
So my junior year, we both studied abroad. The spring semester of my sophomore year, I was in Ecuador and he was in Finland. Okay. And that distance and that experience where I realized I wanted to be closer to him and not go back to the prairie. So I transferred to Northern Michigan University because I wanted to study English and Spanish, and Tech didn't really seem like, for me, the best place for that. Anyway, so I did 2 years in Minnesota, 2 years at Northern.
No kidding. And then when you graduated from Northern, was it back to Minnesota or were you here? Or?
Then we got married and moved out to the state of Virginia for 3 years.
Okay.
Because it was the recession in 2009, and so teaching jobs were few and far between for Samuel. So I said, apply to places with mountains. So we moved to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I worked at a community college in like a windowless office, and I was like, I can't do this, and I was homesick. So I applied to grad school, and then we moved to Minnesota, and I studied at St. Cloud State to become a speech and language pathologist.
No kidding.
Then,
you're doing it.
Yep. And then my first job was up here. We wanted to move where there was really good snow, and Sam's mom, and I was pregnant when I graduated from my master's program. And so I just felt like I needed to be by someone to help me with my baby.
Yep.
So God opened a lot of doors to, it's not always easy, I think, to move back to the UP for people. But yeah. So we are praising God that we get to live up here.
Sure. Well, thank you for giving that little biographical sketch there, Amanda. That was great. And kind of sets the stage, I think, in some ways. So I invited Amanda onto the podcast today as we round out this series we've been doing in the summer on the Psalms, this book in the Bible, kind of all about praising. And already in your sketch there, we see, so one of the reasons I brought Amanda on was in my experience of her. She's been a kind of a musician and popped up in different places at St. Peter and Paul, leading music, leading during the Sunday school time, songs and actions with the kids, doing the youth praise band, even playing herself in some of the Advent worship services. And so I did not know, though, about the jazz.
Yeah.
The jazz foreground.
I don't bring it up often, but now you know.
And so we're rounding out this series on praise, and I thought, well, shoot, let's have Amanda on the show and just talk about maybe our experiences of praise. And so, I mean, jazz is maybe different than the music you've been doing here, hey?
Still gotta improvise in the moment with the kids and read the energy. So there's the kind of just on-the-spot adjustments.
So the spontaneity of jazz is still blessing you in that current role. But I'm curious, though, like for you, let's say growing up or maybe in your youth, like has music always been a part of the whoop and wharf of Amanda, or how'd you get into music?
My dad is a really, really great singer. And growing up, I would think when he wasn't in the vehicle, I was like, how did they get Dad in the car singing all these songs? Because my dad is really a musical guy, like always singing. And then I guess my grandma, his mom, was always playing at every family gathering. She'd play her organ. And it was such a cool organ that she had in her house with beautiful, colorful buttons. And she would say, you cannot touch it until you take piano lessons.
And did you?
Yeah, so we all did.
Oh,
we
wow.
all did.
Okay.
We had different church friends come to the house when we were little to teach us. And then we got the A-OK to play the organ with my grandma. And so... music was just always there, and it was really a special thing. But you should, she'd always have us play for her then when we do our lessons. So Grandma Grace and my dad were like really the musical people in our family that.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of amazing, I think, when you grow up. This is true for a lot of things in any family system, but I see the same sort of connection when it comes to music. Like when you grow up around musical people or music people in your own family, how influential it is over your own familiarity, interest in. My mother was the organist of our church growing up. And so like I woke up a lot of mornings, mostly Sunday mornings, I suppose, but she would practice piano upstairs and I could hear it from my bedroom, and she would play like Bach, and this was really beautiful. And I have a lot of fond memories of waking up to that beautiful piano. I did not learn piano though in the same way that she did, or it sounds like the same way you did.
Well, I didn't stick with it. However, we were gifted a piano that we learned on by our pastor. Pastor Foltz, and he said we need more music leaders in our church. So the intention of this gift is that the kids will share their gift of music back to the church. And so just start with piano, but we were freed. Like my brother played guitar, and my sister and we sang a lot in church, and I played flute a lot in church and learned ukulele and guitar too. So yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was curious, because obviously I have experienced you in that setting, but when it kind of started for you, like how young were you when you started playing music in church?
Elementary school. So I grew up at a Lutheran church in Minnesota, and we would have quarterly praise night as a way so the congregation and visitors, that was just our church, could come on a weeknight, I think, and there would be like a donation, and that money would go help families pay for the Bible camp that we all would go to in the summer. So all the kids are expected to like prepare some music.
Okay.
So yeah, I would, like, as soon as I was in piano lessons, I remember thinking about, okay, I'm going to do this song for praise night. And so we just always would share music, or as a teenager, I would always plan for my brother to play guitar and I'd sing. So yeah, we just, I feel like that was the culture that I grew up in, that kids would share their music. And it was interesting, though, at my church, it's a Finnish Lutheran church, and for whatever reason, the culture, or back then, they wouldn't clap for praise music. Maybe that's...
Yep. It was I had a similar kind of church experience when I was young. It actually shifted over time, but I know exactly what you're talking about, which is a little strange from like a performer standpoint, I think, sometimes.
Yes, but then it made the distinction and kind of took some pressure off that this isn't a performance. It's not for you. Mm-hmm. This is a gift to God, and we all can enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was awkward maybe to not clap for people, but also maybe prayerful, or made that distinction early on, that praise is not about me. It's not about my talent or skill. It's just an offering, and we can all participate.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and purposeful that way. Which is, anytime you're cutting against something that is so culturally ingrained, right? Like in every other instance that we would go to, it's like just in our American community, let's say, where someone did something in front of a group. Even when they're not present, my friend gets irate about this, but like clapping at the end of a movie, like in a movie theater. Yeah. I'll do it. I'll participate. And I think it's totally normal. He gets furious. He's like, they don't hear you.
But we liked it.
Yeah, exactly. We liked it. So it's a very common cultural thing. But yeah, you're saying your church community was trying to help make the point or distinguish between who it is we're orienting that praise to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a lot of this.
Oh, sure.
Like, people would be like, I want to, but also we don't. It's something, I think it has shifted, because I think we can all just say, we're clapping because we enjoy the praise, not to gauge. It's not a talent show or something. I think we can all figure it out too. But how about you? When did you? Because you drum. You're involved in worship. You lead the VBS songs.
That's true. I do some of that.
What was your start?
So I got to go back in the brain here. This is great, Amanda. I'm glad you're putting me on the spot.
Sure.
Because now I got to know what it's like. Yeah. I'm always just out here rapid firing questions. I think certainly my love for music definitely came through my parents as well. Like I mentioned with my mom. My dad, I didn't know this about my dad. He would drum on the steering wheel in the car, and like he'd get kind of into, whatever music was playing. So he definitely liked music, but I didn't know he was a drummer.
Oh.
So it was something that was like not shared until I was maybe 12 years old, and we asked for a drum set for Christmas, and we got it. And then like after that, somehow learned that he was a drummer and had a drum set. And I was like, what? Like it blew my mind, because it wasn't part of my picture of my father. But so I grew up with music in the home. Family's fairly musical. I liked singing and playing. So like I did play bells in church. Cool. I don't know if you ever did like handbell kind of stuff. I
didn't, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of a lost art in some ways. I think like it still exists, but maybe not as much as it did, at least when I was growing up in the 90s. But so I was in the handbell choir. I think I sang in a couple like kids choirs, but I really didn't get my start like instrumentally. I guess outside of the bells, which I didn't like treat as seriously. I was kind of in it, I think, because my parents said, we've got this bell choir and you should be in it. And I was like, okay. But we started a praise team at my dad's church in Quincy. I was probably in 7th grade, maybe, when that was getting formed. And so they needed a drummer. And it was overlapping with my kind of start on the drum kit. And so, then I did praise team for that that contemporary worship service from like 7th grade all the way through the rest of high school.
Okay.
So we didn't have any other drummers, at least, that ever came to the fore. So it was like every Sunday.
Wow.
That's what I was doing, which was a lot of fun and gave me a lot of experience. And I played in other areas too. Like I played for our school in marching band and the pep band for the basketball games and things. But then it was a real shift, just thinking of styles of praise. When I went to university then, I'd done like 5 years of contemporary worship, and I ended up at Concordia, Wisconsin, where they had some of that available as well, but like the chapel services that they would do daily was in this beautiful chapel and such cool acoustics. I mean, very echoey. Drop anything, it's going to reverberate for a while. But they had this massive pipe organ that, like, if you're in the back, like, you'd feel the wind like blowing on you, and so I'd kind of forgotten about that more liturgical or ancient style of worship, and was sort of brought back into it in those days, and really appreciated that. For me, more ancient for myself, like when I was a young man, that was the services I tended to go to with my mom, was the traditional worship.
I grew up with a real loud organ too, and like an amazing organist who was up in the balcony, and he would really, I felt like he was rocking out.
Yes. I mean, when there's an organist who just rips, you're not as likely to think of it as, some old dead instrument.
Yeah. It's powerful.
Well, okay, so here's what I want to go in the conversation, Amanda, because we kind of shared a little bit of our background of how we got introduced to and started participating in praise musically. And it just strikes me, when it comes to praise, okay, we can have very narrow, we can have very broad definitions, right? Even when it comes to like what's appropriate for praise or to praise. So like, for instance, like you sharing with the applause, like is applause appropriate, in the context of praising God and for musicians. This last psalm we did on Sunday, there's kind of this, it's Psalm 150, and it talks about praising God, and then it moves through a bunch of different instrumentation. And maybe, I hope I'm not just kicking up old stuff here by bringing up styles of worship. For a while, there was like something called the worship wars. I don't know if they're still going on, but it's this idea that kind of is in some ways going to eternally go on of just adaptation to what is new, and preservation of what is, like historic. So like in our own congregation, like we have 2 services.
Yeah.
And the fundamental difference between those 2 services, I think, would be just the style of worship, right? Whether it's, we call our services contemporary and traditional, I think. Or maybe I should have asked you, that would have been a better question. If you were to describe the 2 services we have, would you just say like the time, 8:30 and 11?
I think that's why we go.
Yeah, just the timing. Yeah.
Like we're up anyways, and then we have the rest of the day.
Yeah. Well, and back in the pandemic when we were trying to figure out how to do worship in sort of a unique time, that's what we discovered too, was most people, it's less about the worship style and more about the time, what works well. But there are these different styles, and I guess what I want to bring to the table is to I want to honor that breadth of praise, but I don't know how to do that exactly conversationally. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I always, because people have their tastes and preferences, but that the psalm that says, is it like make a joyful noise? Is that in the Bible?
I think so. It's certainly a biblical concept.
I mean, let everything that have breath praise the Lord.
Yeah.
That idea that that if we don't, the rocks and trees will cry out. That, and you're like, well, what would that sound like?
Yeah, that's a good question.
The manner is probably not as important as the
motivation behind it, maybe. Yeah. And I guess I want to think about, just as we broaden this idea of praise to God out, or keep it narrow, it doesn't matter to me. But I'm curious, Amanda, when you think of times when you were just either moved to praise, or maybe in some context where the praise, it was very moving for you, right? What experiences come to mind when you think of?
I have a recent experience because this past week we were at the church camp that we grew up going to, like the same group that gathered when I was 7. Like they were present a bunch of those elders were present at the camp this week, and it's so we met at Rabbit Bay, and the theme was living water, and so the theme song was by Shane and Shane. So it's Living Water, which is like a newer hymn style, and then all mashed up with As the Deer.
Oh, nice.
Which that was one of my favorite songs when I was a little girl at Bible camp, and so that was so moving to like I was moved to tears having this congregation around me at camp singing that same song that meant so much to me as a young girl, thinking about how God, as the deer pants for the water, so my soul longeth after thee. And like, wow, like I think we are so designed to praise that when we are in a congregation proclaiming God's goodness, I feel like something kind of clicks right in my heart that this is what the design is. You know, this was what we're made to do, is know who God is and know how good he is for us. So yeah, that was a really moving song. And then one of the last songs we did of that Bible camp week was the song Praise. That's like,
let everything that has breath. Yeah.
That place. So these are like kind of reserved Lutheran people, and they were just jumping and dancing and shouting, and that place was moving with the joy of the Lord. So that was very moving as well. So kind of two different feelings, that like that nostalgic kind of like, this is right, this is who we are, we're longing for God and he satisfies us with the living water, and then just like the joy of being together and knowing God's goodness. So,
yeah. And I love that that picture you give of them singing praise and how it moved them literally in their bodies. That's something, in our kind of faith tradition of Lutheranism, I think broadly speaking, we tend to be a little more rigid.
That's why I like working with the kids, because we get to do all the actions.
Yeah. And God he's given us bodies, and they are created to move and to embody, what we're feeling and what we're experiencing. And camp is like a unique context that sometimes makes that easier.
Yeah.
So like we were saying earlier, like there are some contexts, like when you're doing praise, not necessarily invitational where everyone's singing along, like I don't want to call them performances, but when you were young, the recital kind of thing, the group, the quarterly group praise, like that context, it was sort of understood like, we're not going to clap at the end. And that was just sort of, that was the expected idea. And I think sometimes in our worship services, it's like, I can't criticize anyone on Sunday morning for not like waving their hands in the air, because like, that's just not our culture. Yeah. It's not like the context that we've grown to understand, that's even a possibility or like accepted, right? Or certainly like probably not, praised for doing that even, But at camp, at least in my experience as well, something about the setting is just a little more informal, a little more inviting of that kind of energy. And so like similarly, I'll be heading to Camp Luther this next week to serve actually as pastor of the week, and that's a place where I took my kids there earlier this summer. And yes, there's lots of moving around and actions, and it's a bit more expressive that way.
Yeah. And also maybe that'd be hard to sustain week after week too. That sometimes it's nice. I don't know. God comes in the quiet times too, and a more reverent and prayerful praise is also so important. And fulfilling as well. But there are these standout times where it's like, wow.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. Like, I like that you're honoring, basically, again, when we're talking about breadth, it's not like we're wrong for worshiping necessarily in a particular way. There's lots of reasons probably for why we worship in that particular way. And some of those things could be really useful. Again, even going back to those quarterly praises, the not clapping was a useful thing in orienting the direction to God, like making that very clear. And so, yeah, there's certainly something to not getting wrapped up in, let's say, just like the chaotic moving of our bodies, or you know what I mean, as the purpose of it. Like, that's not the purpose.
And it's not the purpose. And also my experience isn't the purpose either. It's nice when I get to experience things that are like, wow. But really, I feel like the praise is for God, and then also for my meditation, so that those words, I'm not just hearing them or reading them, I get to say those words. And that is so powerful, to know the truth about who God is and what he's done for me and the peace he offers. And so, yeah, I think the act of singing along is really, I mean, has it always been a part of the worship in?
I'm going in my head to the archives of the scriptures and the earliest narratives of them coming together and trying to think of song. Well, some scholars anyway, treat when Adam in the garden says, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, they treat that actually as like a sonnet. It's like poetry. So even there in the garden, is it possible that Adam was singing this love song to his wife? So that would be pretty early.
Yeah.
Certainly when it comes to the community of Israel, by the time they're establishing, even when they're coming out of Egypt. So this is before they're really established, like, as a people with their own, very, very clear culture, and at least like communally clear. This is how we are. When they cross the Red Sea, Miriam picks up tambourines and the women with her, and they start dancing and praising, singing to God for that victory. There does seem to be something like very ancient and almost eternal about singing, and praising to God. And I kind of want to wonder about that for just a second, because when you're talking about that moving experience at camp with remembering like your youth, and then but singing it now and seeing sort of this connectedness. That's what I heard was sort of like a unifying piece. But I think this also happens in other, let's say, secular contexts. Right? Sure. So like, I mean, you guys have probably been to more concerts than I have, you and your husband, Sam. At least more recently. I fell off a long time ago. Maybe they're like kid concerts now, depending on the artist. But like, I've been in, to concerts, and there is a sense of, I think, unity with other people when you're at a concert, like non-religious. And there's sort of this, the participation, like if you know the artist well and now you're singing along to the songs with these other people around you, there can be a real sense of unity with them. I'm trying to think of what is the question.
But yeah, that is, I guess, thinking back at that song from my youth and that time at camp with those people. I think too, being someone who moved away from home, to be able to go to camp and be with friends that I was in dorms with. And like I said, I don't run across people that knew me as a kid. So to be at camp and they're like, they're asking about how my parents are. And one guy even had videos of my brother on the blob doing a double backflip. And I was like, yeah. So I think being known in that way is rare for me on a day-to-day. So it was just a very special time to be with people that knew me as a kid, and then to sing that unity, being known, belonging. Yeah, there was a lot there. And then seeing my kids sing the same song. So yeah, there was a lot there. It was very moving.
Yeah, well, and there's also continuity. And maybe there's the difference, as I'm thinking of those other secular areas where you may have experienced something like this, right? This kind of unity in a worship or a musical setting. But I think that might be the difference, right? At least one difference. is when you're talking about that continuity from like as a young person to now seeing your own little people.
Yeah.
And through that whole growth, there's this connection with this same people, but like the connection fundamentally goes all the way to the bottom of your connection to your creator, to God, the one who he's the reason you're singing.
Yeah. And the ultimate belonging, my maker.
Yeah.
Knows me, loves me, is near. Yeah. That we all belong, and we have this family. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're talking about, like, in the midst of that too, this feeling of like, almost like everything clicked, and like it was like shalom, if you will, if you want to use the Hebrew word, but just like kind of all is right with the world in this moment as I'm singing with this community. And I think for the concert goer, like in the secular realm, there can be that sense of togetherness in the moment. And there can be sort of this high, or like a real charge of the experience while you're there, or maybe as you think back to that. But there's not necessarily the continuity. Like the very next day, if you happen to run into somebody who was at the concert and didn't know, right? Even if you did, it's like all you could really talk about would be like that you like that music. Yeah,
it's pretty fleeting to sing out that favorite song together, and just in that group at a concert, because you can't tap back into that. But that living water, I can bow my head and connect. We're always connected to that Holy Spirit, but we can take that quiet time and have the peace of the Lord. So it's vastly different.
Yeah. And like artists come and go, and whole music genres come and go. And, will anyone remember, the band Rush in 100 years? I hope so. They're pretty awesome, but maybe not. And obviously we don't know all the names of all the musicians of Israel either. And yet, like, we share in that orientation of our praise. Like, we belong to the same creator. There's the same unity for us here as like Saints Peter and Paul when we gather and worship, but more broadly to the wider church presently existing across the globe, but then broader still to, praise. Let everything that has breath. Those lyrics are coming directly from Psalm 150. So we are still singing the same words even of that ancient Israelite community, that's a crazy continuity when you think of belonging to something more than yourself. Christianity really gives us a whole lot to belong to.
Yes. Yeah. Worldwide, generation after generation. And to see it like continuing in my kids and to get to serve the kids. Yeah, music. We're so blessed that God gives us music and that's the offering he enjoys.
That's right.
Seems, right? Is that fair to say?
Invites us into. Yeah. I think so. I think that's certainly fair to say. Well, I want to do a couple plugs here, Amanda, before we end our conversation, which is just to say, hey, this is Amanda. Now you know her. You've listened to her. You'll see her around St. Peter Paul in a few different spots, but one that was a more recent sort of emergence was the youth band. So this youth band got started. I think it was just like this last year, right? Maybe a little longer than that.
Yeah, was it October of 2025?
Yeah, so we haven't been kicking into it for super long, but I imagine you're always open to any young people who want to get and have that experience worshiping together. So if you've got anyone, is there an age limit on who's... I'm trying to think. We've had some pretty young ones.
Yeah, because the young ones are so willing to sing, and the microphone is a lot of fun. And we wanted a way for young people to experience that joy of sharing their gifts and praising God in a low commitment way. They always do such a great job with the Christmas program, and we do have a lot of musicians that are taking lessons and just love music. So we wanted a way for them to participate in a song in a service about once a month. Not requiring tons of stress or practice or memorization, but just a way to start experiencing what it's like to help lead or to share a song with a congregation.
Yeah. So if you've got a young person in your home who might be interested in participating in that, let Amanda know. She'd love to
Yeah.
get them looped in to that group. And of course, if you got kids, you'll be hearing all about the Sunday school stuff coming up here. But Amanda's a big part of that Sunday school leadership team. And thank you for all the work that you do on that side of praising.
Oh yes, it's so much fun.
Yeah, and I'm thankful to have someone who, with her jazz spontaneity, can respond to all the things that make me nervous when I'm in that room. Well, thanks again for joining us, Amanda, and for sharing your praise with us here in this community.
Thank you so much.